love to have you share a little bit about your story. First, who are you professionally? Well, personally and professionally, and then we'll talk a little bit more about our subject tonight. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Hey, y'all. My name is Wren Robbins, and I'm going to follow Karen's coaching because I have partaken of her coaching. And she says to do the PPU, right?
Woo!
Professional and something unique. So I'm nervous because you're the professional and I'm here gonna do it. Okay, so professional, I am a podcast coach who helps women who are business owners launch their podcast and have success in their podcast.
Yeah.
And it's so that it can grow their business. So that's professional. Personal is I am a wife and mom of one of each, wife of one, mother of one, and we are building our house in the country, and we've been doing it for quite a while, but we are doing that and we are excited. And that's the unique thing. Well, the unique thing about me is that Wren, and I married Jim Robbins, so I have 2 bird names, and it's fine. It's fine. So that's my uniqueness. You'll probably never forget me.
I definitely, well, I won't forget you for lots of reasons, but I have never heard that. That's awesome.
Isn't that funny?
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. Well, tonight we are talking about Wren's story of unhiding, specifically to stop hiding behind other people's stories and step up to the mic herself. And I'd love to hear your story around that, Wren, and how all of this evolved. And I see Brielle is here. Brielle, welcome. So good to see you as well. And Holly, woo!
Yay,
All right,
we both love Holly.
Yes, we do. Go for it, Wren. I want to hear all about it.
So 7 years ago, I started, actually 7 years ago this month, April, I started the Friends of a Feather podcast. And I didn't know anything about podcasting. I didn't know anything about business. I was a mom working part-time as a kindergarten teacher. And I remember people saying that I was a very thorough teacher, which totally makes sense right now when I'm podcast coaching. I want to make sure everybody gets it. We're not moving on to the next thing until you get it. So I can see flashes of that, of my future back then. But I was a kindergarten teacher, and I was driving down the road, and I knew I was supposed to start a podcast, and didn't know anything, like I said, but I knew I was called to start it. And so I went home and then just opened the computer and was like, I got nothing, Googled, self-taught, all the things. I asked the hosting side of my podcast. Eventually I asked her, like, how do you upload? She's like, I think a Google search will help you with that. I'm like, she probably was like, well, bless her heart, like she totally was saying that, even though she was somewhere not in the South. But anyway, so I started the podcast, and it was all about highlighting women's God stories, friends that I had, or actually online friends. And so I was all about them and their stories and getting out of the way so that I could highlight their stories, amazing stories that I was like, people need to hear these stories.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and it was great, it was awesome, it was wonderful. But at the same time, I hid behind those stories. And so I did not share my story that I knew that God had done in my life because I was hiding behind theirs. And it was a more of a false humility. It was trying to be humble, but it really wasn't, because of the fact that I was hiding and I didn't share my story, which is so ironic. I was giving them the megaphone for their story, and here I was not sharing mine. Isn't that funny?
It is. Well, and I'm super curious. Were you aware of that in the moment?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't.
You did
not until a few years later.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm wondering, and I'm not always a fan of giving people a drop-down menu, like just ask a question and let people respond. But I feel like I have to ask you, so one drop-down menu option that is in my mind is, at the time, did you think, oh, or excuse me, did you feel like you mentioned false humility? Did you feel like, oh, well, I need to do this because this is what a quote unquote, air quotes, podcaster does? They listen to other people's stories. Or was it something different? Or maybe even was it you as a woman felt like, oh, I need to make sure everybody else is heard first?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a place from humility. But then I think as time went on, when I would hear these women's stories and sharing them, I had a story of infertility that we went through, and had a story of coming, as a podcast host of an interview podcast, of not really wanting to step out of and just do a monologue with me, like not even wanting to do that for fear, and just a lot of hiding behind their stories. And what, eventually I think I know I started coming out of that.
Okay.
At first I did not. I was definitely hiding.
Mm-hmm. And what was your turning point? Tell us about your transformation.
Well, it's funny because I remember on episode 50, so it took me 49 episodes to get to the point where I was like, they might want to hear about your story, Wren. Like there's truths to glean from yours as well. Like, let's share that. And so I invited my husband on the podcast, which I always suggest, if you are married, get your spouse to come on the show. It is awesome. People love it. They love it.
And guess who just joined earlier? Do you see that, Wren?
Well, Chris came in at just the right time. Karen's husband. Y'all are going to have a podcast episode together. I've already instructed Karen that that's what you're going to do. But it really is. It's funny because a lot of my clients see that. And when they have a spouse that comes on, people love it. People love it. So, but when we had that episode 50 and shared a little of our story, people were like, what? You went through infertility? I had no idea. And still to this day, I still did not share my story fully, except for that one episode. Isn't that interesting? So interesting. But I will say that was the first turning point. And then there was another turning point when I felt the Lord calling me and saying, you need to do a monologue. You need to tell people about what you're reading in the Word every day, in your Bible. You need to do it. And I started doing it, and I was like, nobody's going to listen to me. I mean, it was definitely the fear that, I stepped back into the fear mode. It's like, nobody's going to listen to that. And girl, they were 8 to 10 minutes. And those I have, you can look on analytics. I have 80% and higher of the listen rate. So like 80% of the episode. So they were listening to 80% or more of the episode of those monologues when I started to come out. It wasn't even my story, but it was what I was learning through the Bible. Like, I'm not a theologian, but it was just amazing because it showed me that I do have a voice, in fact.
Oh, wow. Wow. That is powerful. So related to that, how did you recognize, or more importantly, let's talk about this. Well, first of all, I didn't even acknowledge, I'm so sorry about the infertility challenges that you've had. And the fact that you have spoken about them publicly, I just love the fact that your vulnerability is there, your humility is there, your story. And I know that that relates to a lot of people, and you sharing them. I mean, I'm sure obviously you have noticed this, that in you sharing your story, it has empowered other people as well to share theirs and to know they're not alone.
Absolutely. And even being able to be a guest on other podcasts to share our story so that they too, the host, has been through that. And so it's really neat of the ripple effect of, I didn't share it for years, but then when I started to, it was amazing how many people really struggled with it. So yeah, it was very nurturing for me, soul nourishing to share about it, for sure.
What was it like when you shared it for the first time? Specifically, how did that feel for you?
Yeah. Sharing it on the podcast, especially then with my husband, that was really the first time I'd talked about it on air. You know, when you publish a podcast, it's out there, you know, like it's not like,
Yes.
oh, let's take it back. So it was a struggle, honestly. It was a struggle. And I
Oh.
teared up a few times in it. But looking on the other side of it, like I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I did it. And really, you know, coming out from hiding behind those other women's stories really helped me in knowing I had a voice and that God wanted to use me in more ways than just one. I mean, not just sharing our story of infertility, but then all the way over here for teaching people how to start their podcast. Like, that is incredible, you know, giving them a voice after I had to get behind the mic and use my voice.
Yes. Tell us about that transition. How did that happen?
Well, it's amazing because it's something that you don't expect. I mean, I was teaching kindergarten and knew I needed to start a podcast as a ministry.
Okay.
That was it. No business was attached, nothing. And then as time went on, I remember I was stirring spaghetti one night, listening to a podcast, and I was stirring that. I was listening to Christy Wright on a podcast, and I knew there's a business in there. There's a business in there, and I don't know what it is. I mean, hello, it was a podcast, hello. But I didn't know, but I was like certain. I was like, I know I'm called to something. And then 4 years, Karen, 4 years.
Gosh.
4 years. And then it just fell in my lap because it's, you know, I'm passionate about it. And somebody asked me, hey, can you coach me? And I was like, okay. And then Wren Robbins coaching was born.
Wow.
So it's neat to see all the steps that had to take place.
Well, and so tell us the time frame from that moment to where you are now. And I know you've got group coaching, which is very exciting. Yeah. So I'd love to hear about all of that.
Okay. I want to tell you, and then girl, you know, I'm a 3-pointer. I've got 3 points for people if you want to hear it of how to step up to the mic, girl.
We should have started with that.
I'm going to get my preachy pants on. No, I'm just kidding. But I get feisty at night, and it's night here. It's in Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee. So it's 7:15. That's like night. Okay, so you asked me the time. So I started my coaching. I started coaching someone in March of 2020. It was 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so I started that, and then that summer I picked up, you know, 2020, we were all at home.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I have got to have something. It really, I mean, coaching really helped me so much. Helped me so much in 2020. But I was meeting with clients, and then word spread, and then word of mouth. That's really it. And then about 2021, I started my podcast. It was like, hello, Wren, let's start a second podcast about coaching, like about podcasting. And so I did that in 2021, and then just started group coaching this year. I've been wanting to do it for a year, but the mastermind we're in with the coach in there, she really encouraged me. And I don't think I would have done it without that mastermind. Okay. So anyway, so that brings us to 2023, and I started group coaching and then meeting with people one-on-one as well. So that's the timeline that it really happened.
Amazing. And what has that done? I want to get to your 3 key points, but before that, what has that done for your own confidence?
Oh, Karen. Whew, you're going to start the waterworks, girl. But it's true. It's just seeing, like, and even people, and I remember, so there's so many thoughts I'm thinking of, but I remember, Karen, that first time that I was in that retreat, which was a year ago. It seems like forever ago, but it was a year ago when I said out loud, when I shared with my husband's colleagues at a dinner, and they said, what do you do, Wren? Are you still teaching? And I said, well, I actually am teaching, but I'm teaching business owners how to start and thrive in their podcast to grow their business. And then when I walked I had done that back about a year and a month ago. And then a year ago, we were in that retreat together. And I remember you saying and writing, I still have the note, that you said, Wren, I'm so proud of you for actually saying out loud because that was a big thing for me, to say it out loud and to mean it, and to have that conviction and that confidence, like you're talking about. This is the confidence corner. That's when it happened, when I spoke out loud at that dinner, and then I had you confirm that a month later. Like, that is really where the confidence was like, yep. And I think of that often when I hear you and see you in my time saying, I'm really proud, because that is really where the confidence started for me, was saying it out loud to those group of colleagues of my husband.
Oh, that is so cool. I didn't quite know the impact that had on you, Wren. That is so cool.
Oh, yeah. Our words are so powerful.
It's amazing.
Right?
Yeah, it really does make you think, doesn't it? Okay, we have lots of words, you and me, out there in the world.
I know. Maybe I need to stop saying so much.
Tell us your 3 points.
Okay. All right. So, and I have to have Erin's not here, our friend Erin, but she loves when you have a good alliteration. I do not have alliteration, but it's in order. It's BCD. Okay. Ooh! So BCD. So the first one, first I want to say, this stepping up to the mic is not going to come naturally for a lot of people. It's not. And it wasn't for me, but I want to save you a lot of time, because I spent a lot of years without doing it. And so I want to give somebody the shortcut. So these are my 3 points. So B is believe that you have something to offer. Okay. Oh. Believe you have something to offer, which it doesn't come from us. It comes from God. We know those gifts are given to us from God. And so I can believe I have something to offer because He has given that to me. He's given me that gift, the talents, the experiences that I've gone through, the thoroughness of my teaching now is coming into my podcast coaching years later. So believe that you have something to offer. And everybody does.
Okay. Love it.
That's number 1.
So I'm looking for my notepad, but I realized, this is being recorded.
It's okay. I'll screenshot the sticky note. Look at this. I'm so fancy. So believe you have something to offer. That's B. Now C, B, C, D. C is concentrate on offering value. So no matter if you are talking to your neighbor in the street, if you are talking on the telephone, if you are texting with a friend, if you are speaking into a mic for your podcast listeners, if you are speaking on a stage, whatever you do, I want you to concentrate on offering value. If you are concentrating on offering value, you're not going to really doubt where you are, because you're going to be offering value, and that is it's going to supersede everything else. And so if you can concentrate on offering value, that is really going to help you step up to the mic. It really will, because if you have value, if you're offering it, you don't really have time to doubt. You just offer that value and you're like, that was good. Let's do more of that. So that's what I would say. C. So B is believe you have something to offer. C, concentrate on offering value no matter where you are. If you are a stay-at-home mom and you're pouring into your kids, offer value to that little bitty, give them food choices, give them healthy things to eat. We could take this so many different directions.
I know. I love it though. It's true.
Concentrate on offering value wherever you are. And then D, this is going to sound so cliche. D is do it. D is do it. Do it. Step up, step out, take the mic, and do it. And that's the thing. My mom had a friend years ago, and she was a stager of homes. And so she had a beautiful house and had it clean all the time. Okay. And that's not where I reside, Karen. I do not reside.
Me neither.
Okay. I like tidiness, but it's not going to be that way every day. I have to work at it. Okay. And so Mom asked her friend years ago, hey, what was how do you do this? How do you not procrastinate? How do you not? And she said, I just do it. What? I just do it. You just do it. And I was like, okay, note to self, Wren, just do it. It's so simple. It's Nike, but it's just D, do it. So B, believe you have something to offer. C, concentrate on offering value. And then 3 is D, do it. Love it. Simple, but it's that's the way to go.
That's fantastic. Well, it's important to say the obvious sometimes, because sometimes it feels obvious to a lot of us, but it isn't. I mean, it's the people that take action that are the ones that get the fruit, right?
And you do it, yeah, like Holly's saying down here, do it ugly, do it messy, do it even when you just do it. Yeah. So those are my BCD, girl.
I love it. And Erin will be proud.
Oh, she will. She'll love it.
Well, is there anything that you haven't shared or I haven't asked that you would like to say before we wrap up?
Oh, Karen, I love you so much. And I remember the first time I heard you was on Clubhouse, and I was like,
that's right.
If I could meet Karen Louse, that would be it. And now look at us.
Look at us.
I have your text number. When I got your number last year at the retreat, I was like, I got Karen's number. And I have not abused it, but I could if I wanted to. So I love you.
You could.
Thank you. Thank you for highlighting other people's journeys and other people's stories. It's just
Of course. I'm so happy to know you, Wren. You bring so much life. And that was actually a question I wanted to ask you. How do you, because you are so vivacious, you're so full of life, and we know that you can't be happy all the time.
No.
Well, meaning there are times in all of our lives where we go through hard things. And so how do you stay so positive, and how might you offer a suggestion for others to do the same?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. We're not always on or always happy or always positive. I try to find the positive things in life, but not always. I mean, the other day I was just like, I'm kind of just sad today. I'm just sad, and it didn't really have a reason why or anything, but it was okay to sit in that. And I think that's what I'm learning, is to really sit in the feelings, because usually I just like to brush on past, and I'm not good at sitting in them. And so I'm learning myself is just to sit in the hard sometimes. And my friends around me, close friends, have really encouraged me, like, Wren, it's okay to feel that. And I'm like, okay, I don't really want to, but really just sitting in it and realizing that it is that way, and then not staying there. My friends Chris and Jamie Haley, they're marriage counselors, and she says that, like, it's okay to feel, but just don't stay there. Yeah. And so that's what I would say, is just don't stay where, feel the feels, feel the heart, but don't stay there. And whatever you need to do, support friends, family, reaching out, people at your church, getting in the Word of God, like all those things, get the support you need, for sure, to walk with you through those really hard times, for sure. It's been amazing to have people around me.
Yeah, it's so powerful, isn't it? And I love your emphasis on feeling the feelings, because I have certainly learned the hard way of not wanting to feel my feelings for many years. Thought I was good at feeling my feelings, but it wasn't until a therapist challenged me and said, Karen, you're really good at talking about your feelings and cerebralizing them, but you are not good at feeling them. And once I realized the power of actually, like you said, sitting in it and not letting it overtake you, and knowing that your feelings are actually a really powerful sign for something that you need to address. And the whole power of being able to grieve the loss when you do feel sad, and even if it's just a small loss that doesn't seem like it should be that big of a deal, but to really acknowledge that it is there, and then that will allow us to move on. So I'm totally in your camp with that. Been through a lot of things too. Well, oh, it's so good just to hang out. I just want to hang out all night.
I know. We can have a party time on the Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Wren, for being here. And for those people who want to get in touch with you, Wren, besides Instagram, where can they find you?
Yeah, y'all can listen to my podcast called Don't Wing It. I offer a lot of value there, and you get to kind of know my quirky personality too, but it's value and personality. But that is a great way to just get a lot of tips and strategies if you are thinking about a podcast. So it's Don't Wing It, and it's with Wren Robbins. So you can find that if you Google it.
Yay!
Yeah.
All right. And folks, if you're listening and this sounds interesting to you, definitely find Wren, because she is not only an incredible business person offering great value, she's also an amazing human being. So finding both of those things in one person is pretty incredible. So if you've ever thought about launching a podcast, or even are thinking about it, but maybe you're not quite there yet, give Wren a shout, and she can talk you through it and see if it's a fit.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
All right, Wren. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much, Karen.
You're
this
welcome.
is awesome. Bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody. Love you too. Bye.